Section 10.1 is about using the Pythagorean theorem. When you're using the Pythagorean theorem, you have to have at least two side lengths of a right triangle in order to use it. So the first thing is knowing on a right triangle which side lengths are legs and which one is a hypotenuse. The biggest side, so the longest side, is always the hypotenuse, and it will be opposite of the right angle. So that's the most important. The other two sides that make up this right angle are called legs. And it's important for you to know that because when you're doing your formula, the two legs are the A and the B, and then your hypotenuse will always go in the C spot. So let's take a look to see how we would solve something like this. So in the first example, they give you two side lengths which are 6 and 6. Since I know that these form the right angle, these are both legs, so I can plug those in for A or B. So I would use my Pythagorean theorem and I would put in 6 for the A and the B spot. And then I would start solving. So in my calculator I would type in 6 squared on both of those and I would get 36. Order of operations, I would have to add the 36, so I'd get 72. And then to undo the squared on the C, I have to do the square root button. So on your calculator, you will want to do second and then your squared, which is this button here, and that'll pull up your square root button, and then you can type in 72. So then I just round that decimal to the nearest tenth and I would get 8.5. So you're going to pause the video and try the got it question. In the got it question, it tells us that you have two legs that have 9 and 12, so I put them in for the A and B spot. So then I would square both of those numbers, add them together and get 225, and then to get rid of the squared on the C, I would have to do the square root, so I would get C equaling 15. So if you wanted to, you could pause the video in your notes and go to the first IXL. The first IXL that you have to complete is R1. Otherwise, you can finish your notes and then just come back to it. Okay, let's look at the next example. So on the next example, we are given two side lengths. So I have 5 and 13, and I have to figure out what they are. So notice that the 5 is made up of one of the sides of the right angle. So that's going to be a leg. Doesn't matter if it's A or B. And then the biggest side is 13, so that's going to be my hypotenuse. So it's very important that I know where I'm putting these numbers in at. So I put 5 in for the A, and then I put 13 in for the C spot. So again, I'm going to square both of those, and I get 25 and 169. Now this is a different format because B squared is over here. So I want to get rid of 25. So to do so, I would subtract, and I would get 144. And then to get rid of the squared on the B, I would do the square root, which is what gives me that 12. You should pause the video and try the got it question. In the got it question, they are giving you C, and they also give you one of the legs. So I would put 15 in the C spot. They labeled A, so you can put 12 in the B if you'd like. Square them both. You would want to subtract 144. And you'd get 81, and then I would do the square root and get 9. So again, if you wanted to chunk this, you could go and do the IXL for R2 and then come back, or just go ahead and finish the rest of the notes with me. So on the last example, you have to determine if the three lengths that I give you form a right triangle. And so to do that, what we have to do is we have to plug them in to our Pythagorean theorem and see which one is true. So what I mean by that is, on the first example, they give us 6, 24, and 25. So I'd put 6 in for A, 24 in for B, and C is 25. Then I would solve this left side. So if I just type that into my calculator exactly like it says, I would do 6 squared plus 24 squared, and I get 612. And when I square the other side, I got 625. Those are not equal to each other, so that's why it's not a right triangle. So then I would have to come back and do the next set. So when I do the next set, you plug them in again, and always the biggest one will go in for C. So then I got 80 and 100. Those are not equal. and then you would finish doing the rest. When I did the rest, I found that C was the one that worked because I got 676 on both sides. So if it's asking you if it's a right triangle, you have to plug them into the Pythagorean theorem and then check to see which one equals out. So pause the video and try the last got it question. So on the last got it question, we have A, B, and C. Remember, C is the biggest. I plug them into my Pythagorean theorem. When I solve it out, on the left side I get 2,609. The right side I got 2,704. Those are not equal, so no, those are not. That does not form a right triangle. This last example goes with the IXL R5. So I tried to chunk it by IXL so you could kind of see. So if you have any questions, let us know.